Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. We are going to do some business planning training. I'm offering this free training today because this is something that a lot of people struggle with. What I'm seeing across the board is that a lot of people are going through courses and they are finding products and getting really excited about them, and then they send them into Amazon, and then what? What happens? We don't know. We're skipping a step in there. We're skipping a step in terms of understanding our market and understanding how to find our customer avatar, how to know whether or not people will buy our products, things like that, things that really give us confidence in moving forward. So I think it's really important to give you guys a solid foundation and help you understand where business planning fits in when you have a private label business, and how you get started with it. So that's what today's training is all about, and I'm excited to be able to offer this to our community. All right, so planning your private label business. We kind of talked about why you would want to plan for your private label business and what happens sometimes when people skip this step. And we're going to also get into some of the how as well today during this training. So first, I want to start with, I know you guys have heard that I am going to be launching an ideation course, right? Well, it is going to be called Concept to Launch, and we're going to cover 4 key areas in this course. I'm so excited to be able to bring it to you. As you guys know, I used to have a business called the Unfair Experience, where we had a 2-month-long course, and then we culminated in China sourcing. What I really wanted to be able to do, I had so many people reaching out to me and saying, Amy, we need the training. We need the training, we need the training, we need the training. We do not necessarily, maybe I'm not ready to go to China yet, or, and the other problem with the training was that it wasn't robust enough in certain areas. There was, especially business planning. We did cover some ideation and some other areas, but we were missing out, in my opinion, on business planning, because these were the things after people got back from the sourcing trip that they definitely needed to follow up with me on coaching calls. And you're going to need to do that anyway. I mean, as you move throughout your business, you're going to need to seek mentorship and things like that. But in my quest here is to help you master the path from concept to launch. So in this course, I'm covering ideation and validation. I really robusted the ideation and validation portion of the training. And then I have the Start Smart Business course in there. Then I cover product development. So everything from intellectual property, how do you actually develop a product, prototyping, manufacturing, and then finally sourcing that product, sourcing and finding suppliers, everything from communication, negotiation, covering inspection, covering logistics. So these are the 4 cores that are taught. There are over 47 classes, and then we have weekly live group coaching sessions. And then you get lifetime access to any of my course updates and discount on any of the group travel, like the China sourcing trip, that kind of stuff. And we are launching it April 15th to only the first 25 people that sign up. So I've got that out there on my website at amazingathome.com/C2L course. And that is going to be, again, limited to the first 25 people that sign up. We'll be launching that April 15th. So I'm excited about that. But let's get into the training. All right, so are you stuck? How certain are you about your product choice? What is different about your product versus your competitors? Can you define that? Why will potential customers buy your product and not your competitors? Can you tell us the answer to that question? How are customers going to buy your products? I know many of you launch on Amazon and your own websites. Maybe you have Shopify. But how else can customers buy your products? Do you know how other customers in your target market buy your competitors' products? Have you studied that? How much of this product will they buy? Do you know how many potential customers you have in your market? Do you know how many potential customers are in the United States of America, or in Australia, or in Canada, or in Mexico, or in Europe, or in your area? How much could they buy? How many people will buy it? How many potential customers do you have? This is called your total addressable market. Do you know how to find that out? Amazon is less than 10% of all of retail, right? So you have a huge market out there that you can sell to, not just Amazon, but a huge market. How many people could buy your products? How much will your business cost you? How much will your product cost you, and how much will your business cost you? Have you estimated your operating expenses, your inventory turnover costs? How much should you sell your product for? How much should you price your product at? Are you just picking a price and assuming that that is the right price? What should you price your product at? What's the right price? And the last and most important question is, what if all of this doesn't work? That's the biggest question, right? So many people, when I'm in these consulting calls, they're wondering the answer to that question. What if it doesn't work? I think it's a good product. I think I've set it up to be the right price, but I've got a lot on the line. What if it doesn't work? So the step one of this whole process is ideation, right? Coming up with product ideas. We've got to think about different product ideas. Maybe we study a niche. Maybe we look at competition, we look at search volume, we look at sales volume, and we choose a differentiation. And we hope to make a difference to the customer in the marketplace. So then we move on to product development. We start talking to manufacturers, we source our product with its differentiation. Hopefully it's the right differentiation, and hopefully we're sourcing it at a profitable margin. I can tell you, most people are only sourcing at a 3x margin, and when they factor in advertising and actually turning that money over and buying new inventory, most people are out of money at the end of that, and they don't have enough to scale their business. The other problem with a 3x margin or a 30% profit margin is, again, scalability. So maybe you haven't taken the time to put together your overall expenses, your financial plan for your business, and you aren't sure how much all of that is going to cost you. So how much have you set aside besides buying inventory? Often I see people, they'll spend all of their money on inventory, and then they don't have any money left over, and then they sourced at such a small, narrow margin that they're not making enough money to buy new inventory and also operate their business. And then they end up out of business, and that's not what we want. So my bottom line here is you skipped a step. Business planning is going to make all the difference in understanding how to move forward, because we're going to lay a foundation, a groundwork. So a business plan can help you make better decisions about your product, about your brand, and about your path forward. And we're going to discuss that today. So step 2 is not product development and sourcing. Step 2 is actually business planning. So before you develop your product and decide on your differentiation, you must understand the market you're selling to and whether your differentiation matters to them. How many times have we seen something on Shark Tank, a product on Shark Tank, where, you know, the sharks argue, this is not a better gadget, this is not a better mousetrap, or your margins are terrible, or, you know, we want to make sure that our differentiation matters to the market that we're selling to, and we want to make sure that we understand that market. So a business plan addresses the following things. Your total addressable market, that is the total number of people, potential customers that you could have in the entire marketplace, not just on Amazon. So if I told you there were 52 million people in the United States that have cats in their household, and I'm trying to sell to 1% of that, that's my total addressable market. My total addressable market in the United States is 52 million. How did I find that number? I just Googled it. I got some census information. I got some information from various pet publications to understand how many people in the US that I could sell to. So I know that Amazon, I've sold thousands of units now, but Amazon is only a tiny percentage of the total addressable market that I'm trying to get after. So I really want, this is something that I help people with when we first get together and we're talking about their overall business plan. We get an idea of the total addressable market so that they're able to really plan for the scalability of their business. If the total addressable market for your product is very, very small, you might not be able to scale it to the level that you hope to be able to scale it to. So it's really important to understand how to come up with that number. And then where does your brand fit amongst the competition? A business plan forces you to kind of pull that out and say, this is what makes our brand different. This is why a customer will buy our product instead of the competition's. Then your unique selling point. So what is it that makes your products better than your competition's or different than your competition? What is unique about them? Your customers, what customers in your market actually care about? So, what do people buy? I know from my business plan, from putting it together, that people spend more money on litter box accessories than they actually spend on litter, and that they buy most of those accessories online. So that actually was very good information for me to have, since my product is an accessory, and I needed to know where people buy these products online. That's great. That means me selling online is the right path. The other thing is, so many people, they will launch a product on Amazon that people more often buy at Walmart or Target. And in the search data, you'll see that people actually search for Target or Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot specifically for that product. So in that case, we want to make sure that we are taking a note of that, and that Amazon is the best place to launch our product. I've run into many, many people that are launching very high-end things on Amazon, and high-end housewares, stuff like that. And that is not selling as well on Amazon anymore. It was about 5 years ago, but now it's not anymore. So those people are going to be better off selling on sites like Wayfair, their own website, maybe getting into some specialty retailers in the home market, and even some big box retailers. So you definitely want to understand your sales and your distribution channels. Next, your marketing efforts, and we're going to get into all of these things today. So you want to understand, what channels of marketing should you be using? How and why, and how much of your market is hanging out in various places. Then next, your startup costs necessary beyond what is required of sourcing and shipping the product to Amazon. So I kind of already talked about this, but I really want you guys to get an understanding of this. So for example, I needed molds for my product. I needed some equipment for my business, those kind of things. I put all of that in my startup costs in my business plan, and I knew how much I would need beyond inventory. And I was able to raise money for that, and also pool some of my own resources to be able to start up without running out of money, because I had these things forecasted. So you're going to move forward with confidence if you take the time to write a business plan. And an understanding of the market that really important here that your competitors do not have. I really want you guys to have an understanding that your competitors maybe have not taken the time to understand, because I'm sure you've all seen, I'm sure you all have an eye on a competitor that you're trying to really, I hear that all the time from people. Oh, I want to be able to sell as much as, this is my top competitor and I want to be able to sell as much as them or sell more than them. That's what I'm aiming for. This other competitor is selling so much. But most of the time you haven't taken the time maybe to study what that competitor is doing beyond Amazon. What are they doing? Where are they marketing? And getting an understanding of why they are the top competitor will help you be a better competitor to them and perhaps even steal some of their market share. All right, so why should we have a business plan? Why, right? Number one reason, nobody wants to fail, right? You guys, this is my biggest fear. My biggest fear, and I'm sure you all have fears, but my biggest fear in business is failure. I do not want to fail. I am terrified of failure. And I think so many other people share that fear with me. Also, it's a means to an end, right? You definitely want to understand what's your end point in your business. What's the path to get to that endpoint? Number three, highlight what you don't know. When I first started filling out my business plan, I was terrified because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many areas in here that I don't know. But then it gave me the confidence to go out and find that information, because once I identified what I didn't know, I was then empowered to go out there and get that information. And then finally, to prevent fires. So we all have fires in our business. How many times do you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm spending my day putting out fires? So how can you prevent these fires in your business? So the elements of a business plan. So we have the, actually your business plan starts with an executive summary, but the reason we have this last is because you write it last. You fill in all of the other things here, and then you write your executive summary based on those. So you start with your business description, your products and services, your marketing plan, sales and distribution, your operational plan, management and organization, startup expenses and capital, and your financial plan. So those are all of the elements. Your business description. This really just explains the basic elements of your business. And if someone is reading your business plan, they should have a basic understanding after reading your business description of your mission and your vision, your goals, your target market or who your customers are, your competitive landscape, who are your competitors, and then finally your legal structure. And I have to tell you guys, at first when I wrote my business plan, I wrote my business plan and I took it to a mentor at SCORE. And because I invented a product, I said, I don't have any competitors. I'm inventing something, I don't have any competitors. And I'll never forget, I'll never forget the mentor at SCORE was like, of course you have competitors. People can buy another product besides yours. Those are your competitors. So, I mean, you always have competitors, whether you're inventing a product, whether you're selling a Me Too product, it doesn't matter. Everyone has competitors. So, I definitely learned from that experience. And that's a good tip for you is have someone read over your business plan after you kind of draft it up, so that they can give you some of that feedback and those tips and say, hey, maybe you do actually have competitors. Have you thought about this or that? That's only going to help you in moving forward. So you want to start for your business description. We're going to kind of get into the business description more than anything, because this is kind of the foundation of your business. You really need to understand what your business is and be able to communicate that to customers and to suppliers and to anyone else you come across. So defining your business why. This is actually at the Inspire conference. This is what we started the conference with. So if you're joining us for the virtual summit, you will get an exercise to really help you do this at the beginning of the virtual summit. So you want to start with the end in mind. In order to start to define your business, you must figure out, what do you want to do with your business? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to pass it on to your family? Do you want it to reach a certain number? Do you know, what is the reason for your business being in existence, and what point do you want to get to? Start with your end in mind and work your way back from there, and really think about your personal goals versus your business goals. Your personal goals, your reason for starting your business goal actually turns into your mission statement. And both of them are important, because of your personal goals. Again, this is really covered at the Inspire Summit. If your personal goals don't align with your business goals, you may have some conflict there. So Ashley Paraguay, she talks about this during the Inspire Virtual Summit. So, and I'm going to have a coupon code in here for that as well. So make sure that you scoop that up if you haven't attended, if you haven't bought your ticket yet. All right, so who is your audience? I've got this picture over here of people lined up at Best Buy, really waiting to buy the latest brands at Christmas time, at Black Friday kind of thing. So wouldn't you just love to have somebody lined up waiting to buy your products? Wouldn't you love to, have a brand that is that recognizable? So why are you starting this business? If we kind of walk through the questions, why, who, what, where, and how, that will definitely kind of help us define our audience. So we can say, okay, why am I starting this business? Maybe I found a great widget and I want to sell it. Okay, well, who's going to buy this widget? Oh, people who like green square widgets. Okay, cool. What's the market for green square widgets in the US? And these are all just examples of how you can kind of define yours, but you want to add some numbers and things like that. In the US, 10 million people buy widgets every year based on market trends. People look for new widgets every 2 years. And I think I can capture 1% of the widget market with my differentiation. Okay, where do people shop for widgets and where will you sell them? Most people buy widgets on custom widget websites. Whoops, if I was planning on launching on Amazon, this might be a problem. Okay, how will your customer find your widget? I will advertise with influencers on widget Facebook groups. So this is just an example of, okay, studying the market, who will buy it, why they'll buy it, what they'll buy, all that kind of stuff. And all of these questions can be answered with a Google search. So definitely, take a look at that and make sure that you are actually searching, who's buying this stuff? Where do they buy it from? How many people buy things like this? Or how many people, if you have a pet product, how many people in the US have pets? If you have a home goods product, how many people are ages, maybe your home goods product is, for people, for families, it's more of a family product, and you've got an age group that you're targeting between 20 to 40 years old. Okay, well, how many people in the US are 20 to 40 years old and live in single family homes, right? You could definitely find that information, and then you can take it a step further. How many people cook meals from home every night? Whatever, So you can definitely look up this information to fill out your business plan as best as possible, so you can get an idea. And then you can take it a step further even and say, okay, well, where do people buy pots and pans from? And there will definitely be an industry publication that talks about that. So don't be afraid of the Googles, get after it and just start filling in the information. Then you want to get into your mission statement. So your mission statement basically sums up all of the answers to the questions. So, the why, because I found a great widget and I want to sell it. The who, people who like green square widgets. The market, 10 million people. Where do they buy? Most people buy them on these custom widget websites. And marketing, I'm going to use influencers. So my mission statement then, my draft mission statement says, we will sell green square widgets to 1 million people on a custom widget website through influencer marketing. Your vision. What is your vision? Where do you want your business to go? What do you want your business to become? You want to take what you learned about the market and figure out how to capture more of it. So you definitely want to understand where you want your business to go, but then also the how. How will you capture more of the market that you study? Your vision is how you serve your customer and define your brand. So if your vision is to become the top seller of specialty colored shaped widgets in North America, that's a good vision that you can work towards, and then you fill out the rest of your business plan of how you're going to get there. So your company and branding, this is something so many people get confused about, their company name versus their brand name. So this is the biggest question I get is, you know, Amy, how do I choose a company name? And then what happens if later on, like I'm doing kitchen products now, what happens if a year from now I decide to get into pets and I name my brand Kitchen Widgets? Well, that could be a problem, but remember, your company name is not your brand name. So your vision might be your company, and then you just have one, but your mission could be your brand, and you can have multiple brands, multiple products, and you could expand upon that. So, you know, you think about, you know, Coca-Cola is the brand name, but Coke Zero is the product name, right? So you can have many different product names underneath one brand name, and your company name does not have to be your brand name. Your company name is just an umbrella. It's a company that is just an umbrella to kind of collect money for that business. So I kind of give an idea here of the vision, and the LLC is North American Specialty Widgets. The mission is to sell green square widgets to 1 million people on a custom widget website, and our brand name is Wicked Widgets, right? So, and that's our first brand name. Let's say we expand into pet widgets later on, you know, then we can have another brand underneath our company name at that time, and maybe it's Widget Paws or something like that, right? So you're gonna document everything that you've done so far, and this goes into your business plan as your business description. So again, we're getting back to the elements of a business plan. We've got our products and services, our marketing plan, sales and distribution. So now let's get into the rest of the business plan. We've covered the business description now, which is the hardest part, right? Is like, who am I and what do I do and what's my market and why do they care? Now we're gonna actually get into the weeds on each of these. So your products and services. Even if you're just starting with one product, you wanna take the time to explain your product and kind of, you know, get into more of what your business does, what problem your product solves for customers, and then your unique selling proposition that makes your product competitive. Take the time to really define your product and why people will buy your product and what's unique about it. If you do this, it's really going to force you to work through this and to define the requirements of your product before sourcing it. Imagine being able to go to a supplier and really, really clearly define the requirements of your product. So you want to really get into this. All right, your marketing plan. This is the next biggest part of your business plan, where it talks about your industry, the competitive landscape, your target market, and how you will market your business to those customers. So think about all of these various areas in your marketing plan. If you do your market research, it's gonna ask you the questions about that. The business plan template that I use is from score.org, SCORE, S-C-O-R-E. If you simply search on Google for SCORE business planning template, you will see it. And what this business planning template is, it's downloadable, it's free, and it asks you questions about each of these areas in your marketing plan, in your business plan overall, so that you can then use those questions to Google and really get more information about your product, your service, your market, and that gives you a starting point to really get things defined. So I would highly recommend downloading their free business planning template, and it's going to walk you through each of these, and it'll explain what each thing is. So, you know, getting an idea of your product's features and benefits, the threats and opportunities in the marketplace, your target customer, your key competitors, your positioning and your niche, and how you're going to market to your customers and what your marketing budget will be. It's wonderful to have this stuff outlined before you move forward with your sourcing your products. Sales and distribution. really, you guys, think about being able to have this information ahead of time before you move forward. Understanding pricing strategies, key partnerships. How many of you know if your products, when they are in stores on retail shelves, if they are put there by distributors or the brands directly? I can tell you that I went and studied what products were on the shelves in major retailers that I wanted to get into, and most of them are actually being covered, in the pet section at least, by one main distributor. So now I know that I need a key partnership with a distributor in order to get my products on those shelves. So these are things that we need to know. We need to know if we have any key partnerships that are needed. We need to understand pricing strategies. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to someone who's sourced their product and they source it for way too much, really expensive, and then they're hoping to be able to price it high enough to cover their costs. This is not a good strategy. This is a quick way to lose a lot of money. So we want to understand ahead of time what we're going to price our product at, and then we're going to come back and determine what we need to source it at. And I cover this in depth in the Concept to Launch course. I really want you to understand, hey, what can you sell it for reasonably, and what do you need to buy it for in order for your business to be scalable? So location, location, location. Where are you selling your products? Where should you be selling your products? Where are you going to be located? Where your warehouse is going to be located? Where will you source this from? There's so much great information when we think through the sales and distribution portion of our business plan. And then distribution channels. Are we going to use a distributor? Are we going to hire sales reps? Are we going to we're just going to do Amazon? That's fine. We just need to understand how much of that market is going to be addressed with just Amazon. And is that enough? With Amazon being just 5% of retail, is that going to help us reach the biggest part of our total addressable market? And it may be great, but just having an understanding of that ahead of time. And then also having a 12-month sales forecast based on your distribution channels. You can now, and your total addressable market, and knowing this information, you can have a sales forecast. Wouldn't that be great? I have had so many people come to me and say, well, Amy, my goal is to sell 20 of these a day. And I say, well, based on what information? Well, my competitor is selling 50 a day. And then I'll look that up, and their competitor is actually not selling 50 a day, or that was during a seasonal period. So it's really, really important to understand these things ahead of time. Finally, your operational plan. Daily operations of your business. So during the Inspire Summit, we have Natalie Gingrich, the Ops Authority, talking about the daily operations of our business and how we need to focus on the 7 strategic objectives that every business has. This is really, it comes into play in us starting a business and then spending our time putting out fires. If we don't have an operational plan, we will spend our time really putting out fires. I know with the coronavirus lately, some businesses are out there updating their plans and really talking about, okay, what will we do in terms of this potential impact on our business? So, how will you produce your product and service? How will your business operate on a day-to-day basis? How will you handle quality control? How many people skip inspections and quality control simply because they don't know how to do it and they haven't actually taken the time to think through it? This is really, really important. So, how will your business handle quality control? Where will you be located? Where will you sell? What is your legal environment? What do you need certifications? Do you need medical things? What's the legal environment for your particular product or service? And then, what kind of insurance do you need to have? All of that kind of stuff. And then finally, your personnel and employee training. How many employees do you plan on having? If you're just starting with you, well, great. What about your own training? Do you need any training? Can you identify that ahead of time? Because that's going to need to go into your startup expenses. your inventory types and how will you manage your inventory. How many people really struggle with managing their inventory as they grow? Even people with just one product, I know they'll get on calls with me and say, Amy, okay, getting ready to order this product, or I'm almost out of stock. What do I do? How do I plan for that? So this is something you identify in your business plan ahead of time, and your business plan is a living document, and you can consistently keep this up. Who are your suppliers and what are your credit or payment policies? So it's really good. Payment terms. Oh my goodness, how many people do not have proper payment terms? So many people are doing 30% down, 70%, with their suppliers. Well, guys, guess what? You can negotiate better terms than that. So it's really important to think through these things in your business. Next is your management and organization. So the people behind your business, their roles and responsibilities, their prior experience. This proves to a potential investor that you have a qualified management team. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I know that every single one of you starts your own business and you may be all of these things, and that's okay. But do you have a plan for what your organizational chart looks like as you grow? This is another thing that we cover in the Inspire Summit. We have an exercise that teaches you how to look at this in the future and how to really set up your organizational chart for this. We have an exercise for this at the Inspire Summit. So, all right, then we have, advisors or support. Who's your insurance dude? Who's your banker? Who's your attorney? Do you have somebody that you can call out to? Do you need an accountant? All those kind of things. What are your gaps and how do you plan to fill them? It's better to plan for these things ahead of time than suddenly, get a letter from the IRS and wonder what to do, right? Let's plan for these things ahead of time, even if it's just a person who's a phone call away. If we can have this on our business plan, it really will help us think through this and plan for this. Then startup expenses and capital. Again, I really touched on this in the beginning. So many people start up and they don't plan for their startup expenses. So really in a business plan, especially this SCORE business plan template, it walks you through, okay, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Will this cost you anything? And you might not know all of the answers, but you can definitely fill out a few things. So, what does your opening day balance sheet look like? Do you have a personal financial statement for each owner and major stockholder? So in order for you to get money for your business, to get financing for your business, this is another thing we covered during the Inspire Summit, and that we cover also in the Concept to Launch course. But in order for you to get financing for your business, you're going to need to count on your personal finances, your personal credit, and as well as if you have any investors or anything like that, you will need their information as well. But these are just great things to think about. I realize it's a lot of stuff that maybe you haven't thought about yet, but why not think about it and put it out there and go, okay, yep, it doesn't all have to be filled in right now, but get a really great start. Then you're gonna have your financial plan. This is the second most important element of your business plan because lenders and investors are going to review it in detail. So even though when you first get started, you might not have this fully filled out, when you do go to get ready to get funding, it's going to be good to have this at least started. So it would be great for you to have a 12-month profit and loss projection. If you could really go through your numbers and look at what your inventory is going to cost you, what turnover is going to cost you, what your operating expenses will be. So many people quit in their businesses. They fail before they reach the point where they would have succeeded. So if you would have projected this, you would have realized that you would have been profitable after a certain amount of investment. So you need to take the time to really figure out what your projections will be so that it gives you that confidence to move forward when times get tough and you're almost out of money, right? So, your cash flow projections, how much are you going to burn every month? It's really good to understand that. If you've taken out a bunch of loans, when are those loans going to come due? How much are you going to be spending in interest? That kind of thing. Your break-even calculations. How many sales do you need to cover your costs, and how long is that going to take you? And then finally, how will you use the money you have, the use of your capital? All of these things can be drafted and planned for. Then finally, the most important part of your business plan, because it is the only part that most people read, and it really summarizes all of your business. So, you're going to give an overview of your business, 1 to 2 sentences, the description of your product or service. Remember, you've already written all this in each of the sections of the business plan, but this gives you an opportunity to kind of summarize it. And what this does is it really helps you understand how to pitch your business. It's pretty awesome from that perspective. So, take the time to draft as much of your business plan as possible, and then come back through and write your executive summary, which will then go at the beginning of your business plan. A lot of people, they'll see this executive summary at the beginning and they'll go, well, I don't know how to do that. And then they'll skip everything else because they just kind of get stuck there. So we're going to skip it. We're going to get into each of the other sections, and then we're going to come back and finish the executive summary. So again, this is covered in depth in my Concept to Launch course. We are going to cover ideation and validation. We are going to cover business planning and brand building. We're going to cover intellectual property, prototyping, manufacturing, product development, sourcing and finding suppliers, all of that. So if you're interested in the Concept to Launch course that launches April 15th to 25 people, the first 25 people that sign up. And you can sign up for that course at amazingathome.com/C2L course. All right, so the business course, Smart Start business course portion of Concept to Launch has 12 modules. We cover business planning, the importance of marketing, sales, and a distribution plan, financing your business, finding your community, so teaching you how to find customers and strategic partners, developing and coming up with your brand name, your logo design, setting up your website and your social media footprint, building your audience. So understanding, okay, beyond Amazon, who is my audience and how do I talk to them and what do they care about? Introduction to wholesalers, retailers, independent retailers, trade shows. We will have an interview with a retail buyer so you understand what they're looking for. And then we are also going to talk about big box retail. So this is the Smart Start portion of the Concept to Launch course. You can look at the other core curriculum areas and all the modules underneath them at the website. So the Smart Start business course, we also cover so much of this information at the Inspire Summit. So if you have not bought your Summit ticket yet, we have the coupon code SUMMIT50, and that's going to save you 50%. We cover so much of this. We cover branding, we cover social media, we cover some business planning aspects, some vision, and that kind of thing. We cover a lot of these core areas at the Inspire Summit. So right now you can get that ticket for only $49 using this Summit 50 code, and that kicks off March 18th through the 21st. So in just a few days. So make sure you get your ticket to that, and that's 100% online. And the content will be available 60 days after in that Facebook group. So definitely get on top of that if you're needing some extra help developing your brand and really setting up your vision and your strategy. It's really going to help you with that. And then finally, here are the links for taking action. You can attend the Inspire Virtual Summit. Just go to amazingathome.com/inspire-summit and use that code SUMMIT50. Again, that's really tight timeline on that because we're kicking off very, very soon. Let's see, how many days? In 6 days. So I believe the Summit 50 code, the Summit 50 code ends tomorrow. So you got to get that today. And then master your path from concept to launch and join an incredible community and get access to that course for life. Come in to be part of our very first Concept to Launch course. And we've got a really great price for that right now for the first 25 people who sign up at amazingathome.com/C2L course. That's the number 2 in that. And then attend more free training. So I've got more free training coming. We are going to cover business planning. We're going to cover product development. We're going to cover all 4 of these core areas. I definitely want to get this information out to you. I want you guys to, you know, I want you guys to understand these core areas of your business. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible start and run amazing businesses. That is my mission. And so I hope you will join me in that.